Alright guys, so you're probably wondering what exercise I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna let you know right now, the exercise that I believe is one of the most underrated chest exercises is the weighted push-up. Now hear me out before you go, oh, push-up. Now a lot of people believe that push-ups are a beginner exercise because it's one of the first exercises most people get into for their chest. It doesn't require any equipment, very accessible, and obviously you can progress it very well. Although when most people start to get into the gym, start to get their hands on other pieces of equipment, or the other stuff start to progress, they forget about the push-up. They say, yeah, that's a beginner exercise, I'm past that, let me move on to bench, let me move on to flies with other stuff, which is fine. Those exercises are great as well, but the push-up is such a powerful exercise, underrated, underused, underappreciated in my opinion, and a lot of people don't get the full benefit out of it because they don't do it. So we're going to do some weighted push-ups today. I'm going to show you how I do mine, my setup, and why you should continue to do them to get the best out of your chest. I had to come out the sun there because I'm squinting like crazy and it's super hot. So as I was saying, the push-up, guys, like most pressing movements, like most chest movements, is going to put your chest in a stretch position, so that's on the lower end of the movement, and then obviously we're going to come into a contracted position. That's when we reach the top part of the movement. So let's go into it. Push-ups, for example. So the way I like to do mine is elevated, so we're going to add the weight afterwards, but we just want to make sure that we have something to elevate ourselves on. So this can be parallettes, this can be dip bars like I do, anything that's going to allow you to get a deeper stretch at the bottom. And the reason why I am emphasizing having space down the bottom is because the way that I do them, and maybe you want to do them, is by using a dip belt. So we're going to put a dip belt around the upper part of our back like so. So I'm going to show you without weight first the position of where you want the belt. So you want to put the belt just under the fold of your armpit, like basically right back here. We don't want it down here, guys. If we're doing weighted push-ups, we don't want our lower back taking on the burden. We want our upper back, which is parallel to the chest, taking on the weight. So remember that I used to do them incorrectly. I would load it here thinking I was doing something great. No, you want to bring it right up like that, and that's going to allow you to hold all the weight in the upper part of your torso, which you want. So I'm going to load this up and then I'm going to show you guys the push-up. So I've just grabbed a 10 kilo plate. You can do this how heavy, how light you are, depending on where you are in your, push-up journey, guys. Now I wouldn't say jump into heavyweight off rip. I would actually recommend that if you can't do 10 push-ups with quality reps, you shouldn't be adding weight. You need to be able to build to 10 push-ups before you start thinking about adding weight to your movement. Like anything else, if you can't do a movement for 10 reps, weight is the least of your worries. So make sure you got the form down packed first, that you're strong enough with your own body weight, then we can start to talk about adding weight. So obviously we're not starting with anything particularly heavy. Start with a 10 kg. You can start with 5, 2.5, whatever you feel comfortable with. But again, we're making sure the dip belt is in the correct position. And this is probably the only con I would say of having to load this position, is that it can be a bit awkward at times, especially when the weight starts to get heavier and heavier, and depending on your setup as well. However, more time, it's not really an issue. So we're just going to come here. I've got a little ledge to help me, a chair to help me get up onto the ledge. I'm actually going to perform them, and we're just going to work here, guys. Push back up nice and strong. We're not letting our lower back dip in. We're keeping our core nice and engaged, glutes engaged as well, and we're just letting the chest, the tricep, and obviously the front shoulder do the work, guys. Now if you're not as high as me, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to perform the push-up motion and to load it and unload it. Obviously that wall's very high and these dip bars are very high, so if you've got something like parallettes and you can put them on top of a surface and you just have enough ground space to clear the ground, then by all means do that. However, an easier option, and the option I would give most people, is to use a weight vest if they have access to one, if they have one. A lot easier than using a dip belt, because then you don't require so much ground clearance. A weight vest pretty close to your body. You can literally do it on a set of bricks, chairs, whatever, but the weight vest would probably be more beneficial for most of you. So I would recommend that rather than using the dip belt. If the dip belt's all that you've got, that's fine. Another option, a backpack. So you can put a backpack on your back. If you've got weights, you can put weights inside the backpack, or you can put water bottles, books, whatever, something that's going to make it heavy enough to increase the intensity, guys. So we don't want to be doing loads of reps anymore. We've gone past that stage now, so we can start to focus on making it more intense and getting more at the movement. So we want to pick a weight where we're struggling with like our 6th, 7th, or even 8th rep. Anything over that, still a bit too much. You might have to add some more weight. However, we want to stay in the rep range between 4 and to about 6 or 7. That's the sweet spot right there. We're getting enough tension, but we'll also be able to do enough reps in order to encourage growth, guys. So again, a backpack is another option. You can make it on dip belt. I spoke about that in the last video. Make it on dip belt, do the same movement. You can use a brick instead of a weight if you don't have the option, but so many different ways you can get it, guys. Another quality option that you can do is you can also use a resistance band. A little bit of a different resistance profile when it comes to performing the push-up, because it is going to be the hardest at the top of the movement and somewhat easier down the bottom of the movement depending on how heavy the band is. But all you're going to do is loop the band around one side, bring it across your back like so. We still want it on the upper part of the back, guys, so we don't want to start working on the lower region of the back. So make sure that it's looped around your hand as well, it's secure, and literally you're gonna follow the same pattern. Make sure you hold this in place, and we're just gonna push there, guys. Again, it's adding more intensity and tension to the movement, which is going to equal more gains. So you can't use the excuse of, oh well, I don't have weights, I only have a resistance band, or I don't have a backpack. You can use this as well. So many different options, guys, but the weighted push-up is going to help expand your chest exponentially, really get that good contraction, and it's progressive, so you can progressively overload it. So let's say you start off with 5 kg one week, you start working through the 5 kg, you're doing well, you can add another 2.5, then a 10, then a 15, 20, 30, whatever. And let's say you're still arguing the case that, oh well, I don't have parallettes and I don't have nothing that I can elevate myself in the air with. Well, guess what, you can do them on the ground. You just grab a weight plate, again, backpack, put something in the backpack, guys, and still be able to do the weighted push-up, guys. Again, it is going to be a lot easier if someone holds the plate in position for you. That way you can guarantee the safety of your fingers and other things like that, and make sure that the weight is staying stable. So that's not something that you have to worry about. However, if you're by yourself, you're gonna have to make it happen, man. Figure out a way. But for the most part, again, a weighted vest or a backpack is going to be sufficient to get something out of the weighted push-up. Even if you are going to do them on the ground, I would still recommend getting something that is going to give you a little bit of elevation, especially if you're using a weight vest, because obviously the weight vest can be a limiting factor when it comes to touching the ground, or your chest touching the ground. But just in general, if we want to get the most out of the push-up, we want to be able to get as much depth as possible. And as soon as we elevate ourselves off the ground, it is going to allow us to get into a deeper range of motion, guys, just like that. And again, we just unload safely, no problems, no issues, no drama, guys. Now the great thing about weighted push-ups, or push-ups in general, it puts us, our arm and shoulder placement in a neutral position, or in a natural position, should I say. So whether, you know, you're benching or something like that, and your arms are out here and you're really starting to feel it in your shoulder, when you're doing push-ups, your arm is naturally in a neutral position. Depending if you're gripping something or like that, it's in a neutral position. So that may take away some of the shoulder pain that you may be suffering with. And my phone overheated, benefits of being in the Caribbean, but as I was saying, so that will take away some of the shoulder pain if you are suffering with different exercises, or, you know, different weighted movements. So again, weighted push-up, very scalable, very easy to progress, you can gauge where you're at, the next weight that you might need to go to, all those sort of things, guys. So don't skip out on it. Don't think that it's a beginner exercise or just a calisthenics exercise. You know, everyone should be doing them, everyone should be utilizing them. Again, very underrated. So make sure they're part of your routine, or try to program them somewhere into your routine to get the most out of them. Again, it's going to really work the core. It's a full body movement essentially. You have to keep your glutes locked in place, legs locked in, core nice and tight. Again, all that other stuff. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.